the space.
Absolutely. But listen, you don't have to preface it with my audience. They understand what the race-specific bioweapons are all about. I mean, but let's start back at how did you wake up to this? Let's get into the documents, what you discovered.
Well, here's what we discovered. The U.S. Special Virus Program from 1962 to 1978 has 15 progress reports detailing every experiment and every contract I can read. I'm hopeful that the world jury today will want to read these documents also, because they specifically and unequivocally show that the research logic flowchart, the blueprint that's on my website, boydgraves.com, over 4 million people have the document already. This program developed the ESP-1 virus. We have the 1971 electron microscope of that ESP-1 virus. Alex, when compared to the 1985 electron microscope of HIV, as is produced by the National Academy of Sciences, they are identical. The ESP-1 virus was produced as the U.S. Special Virus Program in accordance with the Prime Mandate Long Directive of reducing the black population. You've already mentioned a number of the documents of the United States which clearly show the mix of eugenics, as if you would, racism, if you would, into the biological programs. This whole development of infectious disease, including the 1918 influenza, they already knew what they were doing at that point.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I discovered researching eugenics is 100 years ago, the Rockefellers started funding all the cancer research as a weapon. Stay there, sir. We're going to come right back to you on the other side of this break to get into these documents. And again, as you say, these are documents that are official. Anybody can read them. Dr. Boyd Graves is our guest. Website, boydgraves.com. Big link up on Infowars.com. And I know a lot of you are racist. You don't like black people, so you snicker and giggle, some of you out there, and say, just let them die. I want you to go look at the photos and the video of those dead and dying children and those people. And I want you to look at those human beings and think about what you're tacitly giving approval to. But that's a small minority. Most of you just don't believe this is going on. Understand, an elite that will do this will kill anybody and everybody. And my evidence shows they're doing it to everyone. They're trying to dumb everyone down so we're more easily controlled. They're poisoning us all. But they lavish this wickedness on blacks first in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa mainly, and on Asians and Latin Americans. And then Bayer, knowingly, for 10 years, shipped out Factor VIII with AIDS in every shot, knowing it would kill everyone that came in contact with it. And their CEO's own minutes and suits came out. They knew. They said, they just were cold-hearted and didn't care. No. They do it as a sacrament. It is their thought system. Dr. Graves, short segment, but just get into documents. I mean, because you've got the cold, hard facts and the pieces you put together here.
Well, I appreciate that. Again, let me just say that these are U.S. documents, and each and every one of us, now that we are a world jury, we want to see the evidence and then weigh it for ourselves. I believe if anyone Googles U.S. House Resolution 15090, you will find the kind of common-day language that says they were making HIV. It is page 129 of that U.S. House Resolution 15090. The title is Synthetic Biological Agent, where the United States Pentagon spokesperson is seeking $10 million to make a synthetic biological agent for which no natural immunity exists. It goes on further to say the agent that they were working on would deplete the immune system so as to allow for the onset of infectious disease. In addition to the 1971 flowchart document, which is the blueprint of the program, this U.S. House Resolution 15090 is the crux of the evidence of the people. It is definitive definition of HIV and AIDS from 1969 and the seek and the want to make it. The flowchart shows the desire, the purpose, and the intent, and clearly that a virus particle was isolated and mass-produced under the U.S. Special Virus Program. There is one government report on this entire operation. It came out of the GAO, General Accounting Office. The Congressman James Traffican, my congressman from Ohio. I'm from the Youngstown, Ohio area, and I do want to say hello to all my friends and family in the Youngstown, Cleveland area. But the GAO Origin of the AIDS Virus report is also available on Google. And it shows that they sideswiped in every way and whitewashed this U.S. Special Virus Program to continue to leave it out of the equation of human disease. The U.S. Special Virus Program is the birthplace of HIV and AIDS, and any review of this federal program will solve and end HIV and AIDS.
Now, let me go back for a minute, and then we'll come back and into the future. But you have a flow chart here, and many of these I came across in researching. Genetics started with the eugenicist 150 years ago. They founded the Cold Springs Harbor Lab. They founded the Bioweapons Lab. In 1902, the U.S. organized the Station for Experimental Evolution, and they were able to identify diseases of ethnic nature. In
You're reading from my website?
Yes.
Yes, that's the timeline. So it allows people of the world jury to have a foothold as they venture back in time to grasp the time frame with respect to the continuous development.
Exactly. In 1904,
of a contagious cancer that selectively kills. The want and the need. They could have gone to Mexico, Alex, to get slaves. They did not have to go to Africa. Isn't that correct?
Yes, it says 1904. We use mycoplasma to cause an epidemic in horses. 1910, use mycoplasma to cause an epidemic in fowl and birds. And then they formed the Federation of the American Society of Experimental Biology. 1918, the influenza virus kills millions of unsuspecting. It was a flu virus modified with a bird mycoplasm for which human primates had no acquired immunity. 1921, lead eugenics philosopher Bertrand Russell publicly supported the necessity for organized plagues against the black population. We have his books published on that. That's in Endgame. 1931, they secretly tested African Americans with the AIDS in sheep. 1935, they learned they could crystallize the tobacco mycoplasm and it could remain infectious. That's when they basically chemicalized it. 1943 officially began the biowarfare program, and it just goes on and on. Go there, read it right now, the timeline at boydgraves.com. And again, in my own research, in their own books, their own documents. See, that's what's incredible. Now I'm reading this, and I've seen 80% of it. I haven't seen it all because there's so much research. Stay there, doctor. I want to come back and go through what their big plan is. In Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, we conclusively prove that there is a global elite. They have set up a world government that is now merging 3 separate regions. Their main goal for establishing world government is so they can then carry out the orderly extermination of the world population. Now, AIDS is a soft kill weapon. That is, it kills you slowly, and they can then disguise a cocktail of other bioweapons they're now releasing. A lot of top scientists have said in Africa and Asia and Latin America, and it becomes like a cover. And then they can basically take control of it as it unfolds under the guise of the bureaucracy they've grown up around helping all the poor people that have it. Please get Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement. Go see it at prisonplanet.tv right now. Get a 15-cent a day membership, and then burn it to disk. Give it to people. Okay, and then point them at Dr. Boyd Graves' site. Then they understand. Here's the global elite. Here's their own statements, how they want to kill 80% of us. And I know I'm jumping back and forth here, Dr. Graves, but let me just go back here for a moment. Why particularly from your research? Like Bertrand Russell talks about how they've got to exterminate the blacks. I have the letter. There's a bunch of them, but to the Lever family head, Fortune, where she's talking about we got to hire black doctors as our front people so the blacks don't catch on that we're trying to exterminate them. I mean, I know they're doing this to everybody. I know they're running soft kill ops on everyone now from all the evidence I've got. But particularly, why do they want to kill blacks so badly?
Well, you know, I have a legacy. I guess I'm developing a legacy of being able to be the age shell answer man, and I certainly would like to tackle that question. It is difficult for people who have, even as young as this country is, to have related to other persons to view them less equally. When you've evolved from a mentality that views others as lesser than yourself, and in this case as it relates to whites and blacks as 5/5 and 3/5, it is very difficult for someone who has been viewing people lesser than themselves to subsequently then view them equally. That would take more time than we've been on the planet, and we're still working on that. My friend, I believe this entire issue of eliminating the black race goes back a long, long ways. I think it may even go back as far as the first encounters of the first Caucasoids and the Negroids, however that may have occurred, whether it be by Vikings sailing down the coast and encountering the first blacks and going back and saying, we've got to do something. And I was saying last evening, I said, you know, blacks grew up in an environment, Africans grew up in an environment where they're in a maze and a matrix of a jungle, but yet they can throw and spit and throw straight lines. And the white man cannot do that. So there might have been a mental inferiority thing that brought this all about from the very beginning, that the African was very, very comfortable in the jungle, and the white man is not.